Hi, this is Julie, and welcome to Throwback Thursday. In honor of Mother's Quest turning 5, this season 7 of the podcast will bring episodes to you every Thursday. In addition to new episodes, we'll also share some powerful conversations from the archives. Keep in mind while listening that you may hear about some events or offerings that are no longer current. But whether you've heard this episode before or it's new to you, I hope you'll find something here as relevant as ever to light your way. I'm recording this opening for you about this week's Throwback Thursday while at the dog park walking Luna. So you may hear some sounds of children playing still outside in this nice warm weather and some crickets in the background. I wanted to bring you this particular episode this week because I've been so inspired by all the photos and posts and stories I'm hearing from all of you about the beginning of the school year for your children. This short episode I recorded when Ryan was about to go into 10th grade and Jacob into 1st grade. And now Jake has begun his 4th grade year and Ryan is preparing to go off to college. Though a lot has changed in terms of what milestones they have arrived at, what remains the same is the power of creating space for reflection. So I hope this episode may inspire you to create some space for reflection with your children. And if you'd like to carve out some space for yourself with me as your guide, follow the link in the show notes or reach out to me and sign up for one of the spots in our virtual Milestone Hike coming up at the end of September. It's an annual tradition that I have grown to love, and so many of you appreciate it too, and I would love to see you there. Now onto the show. Hi, and welcome to Mother's Quest, a podcast for moms like me ready to live our own truly epic life. I'm Julie Neal, a life and leadership coach, community builder, writer, and mom to 2 high-energy boys who challenge me to grow into my best self. I'll be right there. Where was I? I wanted to come in and share about a practice that has really made a huge difference for me and my family in starting the school year well. And it's based on a lesson I learned at the organization I worked, Alternatives in Action, that in order to start well, we need to end well. And so that organization, which for a long time was known as the Home Project, used to make sure that with our young people that we closed out reflecting on lessons learned, that there was an opportunity for young people to feel acknowledged for the ways in which they had grown and things that they had accomplished. And for any new members of our community, everybody got a key. So there was this ritual, a key on a necklace, and a public acknowledging and welcoming of that member to our community. I'm on a hike at Sugarloaf and just wanted to stop and share this. I learned this lesson from them about the power of ending well in order to begin well. And then I got to experience the transformational impact of that myself on my 40th birthday when I invited a coach to take me and some of my friends on a milestone hike. And it was through a coaching organization at the time called Headlands that really used the power of nature and being on a hike to help people make meaning of their life. On this 40th birthday, I had Ryan at the time, but we had been trying to get pregnant for a very long time with Jacob. This coach led us through a process and we went to a beautiful location, actually overlooking the bay in Marin. And on the ascent, we were invited to reflect on the chapter of our life that we were closing. And for me, it was very much my 30s and a whole decade of my life. Walking up, it was thinking about what core experiences have been part of this chapter. What are things I've accomplished? What have been challenges? And what are some things that I know I want to carry with me from what that has been? And when we got to the top of the mountain, we had a chance to share those things. And then we were invited to think about what might we want to release? What do we want to let go of? What do we not want to carry forward into the next chapter? And then on the descent, we were invited to think about our vision for the future and intentions that we want to plant. For me, at the top of the mountain that day, I reflected on how I had been holding getting pregnant with a second child as a way to complete our family, that we were somehow incomplete without that. And I knew that that way that I was holding it was not going to help me. And I had this vision, and you may have heard me share the story before, this vision of my family. And instead of seeing it as like the three of us with a gaping hole, seeing the three of us all with our arms around each other and knowing that if it was right, we could open our arms back up and welcome that child in. And sure enough, the next month, with definitely a lot of assistance, we did get pregnant and welcomed Jacob into the world. And from that moment on, really felt like taking the time at these milestones, at these moments when you're on the threshold, can be powerful. And so if you listen to my episode with Ryan on the podcast, you may know that we did a milestone hike together on his 13th birthday. And then we recorded the reflections that came up from my first 13 years of motherhood and Ryan's first 13 years of his life in that episode. And I'll put a link in the comments if you want to take a listen to that. And then I've also started doing this experience as a virtual, I call it Spark Your Epic Life workshop at the calendar New Year and at the Jewish New Year. And I have a recording for that you could follow along with. So I've started doing that in a workshop. And the other thing that I've done is I have started doing this process with my children at the beginning, just before the start of every academic year. Ryan and I have now, I think we've done it the last 3 years, and he and I just talked about putting it on our calendar because he's starting on the 17th. And I think for the first year, I'm going to try to do it with Jacob, who's 8. And of course, I think it would be adapted a little bit differently depending on the age of your child. But I just wanted to walk you through this process and invite you to maybe do it with your child. So again, a quick recap of the process would be find a local hike that has some kind of a summit, not too strenuous of one. And at the bottom of the hill, kind of mark, okay, what is this chapter that we're reflecting on? And most likely for us, it'll be the last academic year, everything that happened up until now. And then on the way up, you can reflect on, well, what have been the experiences? It's sometimes helpful to actually move through chronologically. Like, let's go back to how did the year start? What was going on then? What were your hopes and intentions then? Who was your teacher? And you kind of walk through and help jog their memory and then start to identify, like, well, what were those experiences? What did you learn from them? At the top of the hill, you'll take a moment to say, okay, what do we want to carry forward? And sometimes I will take a stick and like draw a line in the sand and actually talk about stepping over. Actually, we have definitely done this the last few years with Ryan. In my workshop, I have this picture, this image of the big bad bonfire. And I can also invite Ryan to think about, like, what do you want to toss in the fire? Imagine you're writing things on slips of paper that you want to let go of, and we're just going to let it go, let it burn. You can also, sometimes when I've done this with clients on hikes, they might pick up some flowers or something and then let it go. So you can then consciously cross the line. And then on the way down, it's a time again to talk about, what are your hopes and visions for this year ahead? What are your intentions? And then I also like to choose maybe one action step. What's one thing that you can commit to and do that will start to move you towards that action or that intention and that hope that you have for the year? So I'm wishing all of you, as you're getting ready for this new school year, that even in the midst of so much that is not like anything we've ever experienced before, that you're able to bring some presence and positivity and excitement to what's possible this year with you and your children. And I know that when we take time for ourselves, for reflection, that always helps us be able to hold space for our children in a different way.
Thank you so much for coming along with me on this episode of the Mother's Quest podcast. I hope this conversation sparked something that will help you live your epic life. If you'd like to get show notes and learn more about how to join the Mother's Quest community, visit mothersquest.com. And while you're there, I would love it if you would follow the prompts to subscribe, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and help us to spread the word. I want to end with some words to help light the way on your quest. Seize the day, love your people, honor your gifts. Until next time.